Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. Happy Friday, guys. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. How we doing?
We're doing good.
Whoa! Wait, where's the goat mask? You promised. You vowed. You declared, I will wear the goat mask.
That's what I thought.
Huh?
I mean, we did what we're supposed to do.
Really?
We don't get too high with the win.
You don't?
We don't get too low with the loss.
Quick question. Did LeBron play last night? I missed him. I didn't.
He was like Brady in his last Super Bowl.
Really?
He did just enough.
Oh, did he?
Did, well, yeah,
really?
You see the key plays that he made.
You know, I would like to congratulate your Los Angeles Lakers for winning their first playoff game in 8 years. It was May 18th of 2012. Way to go.
That's a good point.
There you go. You just
That's tradition. That's history.
You don't want us to have a moment, do you? Can we have a moment?
No,
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk
about it.
You said it about No, you don't want us to have a moment.
LeBron was a bit quiet. We will get to that, guys. We have a packed show. Chris Haynes will join us from the bubble with an injury update on Dame. Michael Rapaport will be here fired up. But how about we begin by starting with what we saw last night? The Lakers did bounce back against the Blazers to even the series. Anthony Davis led the Lakers with 31 points on improved shooting from their Game 1 loss. LeBron finished with a quiet, let's say, 10 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. But it was LeBron's pep talk that AD credited for his improved performance from the previous game. So, Shannon, how much do you trust that we'll consistently see last night's AD going forward?
Well, this is the mindset that he needs to have going forward, Skip. This is why everybody loves him. Skip, you see what he's capable of doing when he says, you know what? I'm better than every you-know-what out here other than maybe the guy that I'm playing with. And if I just go ahead and say, you know what? I'm not settling for jumpers. You saw his mindset? He's like, I'm putting it on the floor. Skip, they played him at the 5 a lot last night. And when they played him at the 5, they outscored the Blazers by 15 points in 15 minutes when he played the 5. Skip. I mean, that's what, and you see him, he's like, Nurkic, you can't guard me, bro. On the floor to the basket. Whiteside, you're too slow. Skip, there are not very many 7-footers plus that can move laterally when you were that side. And AD took advantage of that. And when they slumped off him because they was worried about him going by them, he was shooting pregame jump shots. This is the AD that we needed to see. He's running the floor. LeBron's finding him. He's like, you know what? Let me get it off the bat. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just take it off the rim myself. I'll get this offensive rebound and stuff it back home. He was active on both ends of the court, and this is why someone that can run the court like a David Robinson, has touch like Elijah Wan, and can defend.
Yep.
He's a very unique individual. This is why you say, yeah, he's a top 5 player. Yeah, he's a top 6 ball player. Because he showed you last night what he's capable of doing when he does not settle. Now, Skip, sometimes he settles too much, and we saw that the first game, and we've seen that a lot in the bubble. But last night, he had a mindset, I'm going to dominate this game. I'm going to dominate their bigs, and there's nothing they can do about it. And when he plays like this, no one, and let me say this for the people in the black that might be doing something.
Yep.
No one can see AD when he brings this mindset into a ball game.
Yep.
Skip, it's only one game, but I think AD and the Lakers showed what they're capable of when he has this mindset. And if they can just knock down a few shots, you saw KCP. When KCP started making a few shots, now that lane can't be as clogged, and LeBron and AD can get to the rim, although LeBron missed a few easy ones last night. I thought he played well with his nice passes, rebounding the basketball, did a great job defensively. But this is the Lakers that we expected to see once the restart started. This was one of the first times that I thought, you know what? They look like a team that can contend now.
So I re-ask Jenny's question to you.
Yes.
Do you trust that AD in the next game, and the next game, and the next game?
Skip, look, the likelihood of him being this active, but I trust him to be aggressive. That's all Skip, I can live with the results. I can't live with you shooting 30-footers. I can't live with you when you're not putting pressure on the defense. If you score 18, but you're aggressive, I can live with that. You saw him put it on the court floor last night. Hassan blocked it. Okay, I'm going to come right back. Give me a second. Tony Brothers, give me the ball, because I'm going right back at it. I like, Tony Brothers, Tony Brothers, Bill Kidd. I kind of like that group last night.
Did you? Yeah, they were good to your Lakers.
They went, hold on. They tried to cheat my Lakers out of possession. Dame laid the ball up on one end, called timeout, and then they give it to him again.
That is
LeBron
true.
said, "What? Oh, wait a minute. It's our ball."
He was mic'd up. Maybe he shouldn't be mic'd up. Maybe that just got in his way. Maybe it distracted him.
Man, that little bit of mic, that mic's about this big. It don't have no impact.
Before I answer the question that you didn't quite answer, but I'm going to hold you to it in just a moment.
Okay.
My biggest takeaway from last night was that's what should have happened in game one.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Portland, to me, just turned back into pumpkins last night. That's who they are and who they should be. And I realized they were averaging 126 points, and somehow they got held to 88.
Right.
And I give the Lakers high marks. They were more intense on defense. They were more dedicated. They played harder and smarter on defense. But if Dame and CJ don't just go off, one of them has to.
Yes.
Or they are sunk.
Yes.
And last night, their nickname, Trailblazers, they were trailing the whole way. They trailed those Trailblazers by as many as 33 points. It was a complete and utter demolition by your Lakers.
Right.
Now back to your man, AD. I sometimes call him in the fourth quarter all done, but it didn't matter last night because Portland was all done by halftime.
Well, he literally was all done.
He was all done. He was sitting and watching. Correct. He was cutting up over on the bench with one LeBron James. They were joking and having a good old time, as they should have. So back to the question at hand. This, to me, is getting really weird. This man is so supremely gifted. There's no doubt about that. There is just no doubt. What are we going to give him, 6'10"-ish?
Yeah, he's 6'10". That's what they listed. I think 6'10 and a half.
With very smooth guard skills. He was a point guard in high school, and he sprouted up as he went to Kentucky.
Grew out of it.
He did. And yet he can still handle. He can run the floor, like you said. He can play small and big in the same game. And by the way, if he does get his three-point stroke going, he is a very good three-point shooter. I agree. What do you have, 3 out of 4 last night? But do I trust him to do this the next night and the next night? I'm sorry, I can't, because I don't see it. I'll give you every third or fourth game because that's sort of the rhythm we see from him. Every third or fourth game, for reasons I can't quite fathom, somebody either pushes his button or he pushes his own button. And at tip from jump, he's like, I'm here.
You could tell last night.
You could just tell. And it's not like he plays with rage or you know, supreme urgency. You can just tell his body language is different because the basket is his. He's not going to shy from it. He's going to own the basket. He's going to own the paint.
Yes.
And he comes with a different level of aggressiveness. It's not even aggression. It's just aggressiveness. To where he's in his attack mode. And when he is, it's usually big trouble for the opposition because he is capable of dominant monster games.
Yes.
So what have we seen in the bubble so far? The restart, the seed games. We saw him against the Clippers on opening night. He was strong, man.
Right.
I mean, he was a pillar.
Right.
And he goes for 34 and 8. And what I also love about this man, this still young man, is he is a free throw making machine. And against the Clippers, he made 16 of 17 free throws. And then a few nights passed, and here came Utah. And he absolutely destroyed a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. Would you say he turned him into?
Oh, great. Yeah. He made a mess of him. Great Poupon.
Great Poupon. Okay. 42 and 14 was what he did that night, and he makes 4 out of 8 three-pointers against the Jazz. And that was the night I sat back and said, whew, if he keeps doing that, they're going to win the championship, right?
Get 3-pointer falling, you can forget it.
You can just forget it. Yet, in 4 games in the bubble that they lost, and they lost the restart games, the seed games, they lost 4 games that he played in, and he averaged 12 and 9.
Right.
What? How can that man average 12 points in 4 losses? It's incomprehensible. It's inexplicable. It's impossible.
Right.
You can't do that. But he did. He averaged 12 points. That's the guy who went 42 and 14 on Rudy Gobert, who had no chance against him. Rudy Gobert, again, looks like he's got cement shoes on half the time. But again, he can camp in the paint.
Oh,
and just control it.
Yeah,
it's just
can.
hard because what do we call him? 7-2 or
Easy.
whatever? Yeah,
He's easy 7-2.
Okay, so in game 1 against Portland, the final numbers didn't look too bad. What was it, 28 and 11?
Yeah, 28 and 11.
But this is not good. 8 of 24. You can't.
Right.
You told me you can't live with that.
No.
You can't live with 5 3-point attempts, none of them cashed.
Correct.
Right? 0 for 5. And in the fourth quarter, I definitely can't live with this. This was an all-done fourth quarter because he only took 3 shots. That's not enough.
No.
And he only made 1 bucket.
Right.
That's definitely not enough. And he got to the free throw line only 1 time with about 4 minutes left. And he had a chance to tie the game. And he missed them both. Okay, that's not the guy that you need to win a championship.
No.
But then somehow, as he said last night after the game, he said, LeBron, he said, I was so upset with myself. I was so down on myself for a day, which I don't like to hear because superstars don't get down on themselves. They get angry, but they don't get down. He gets down.
Right.
He's got like a softer nature inside him, and he's a good guy. He's a great guy.
Right.
Maybe to a fault. Sometimes I say that about LeBron. He's such a nice guy. It's almost like to a fault. Don't take it so personally seriously.
But, Skip, you have to look at AD from this perspective. In New Orleans, if he had a bad game, who cared?
Nobody cared.
But now he's with the Lakers and what the expectations are. And now you hear every radio show, every talk show talking about how AD disappeared in the fourth quarter.
Correct.
And he wasn't aggressive as he needed to be. So this notion, Skip, you hear it all the time. You've been hearing it for 40 years. Man, I don't pay attention to the papers. I don't pay attention to what they say. Bull jive.
Bull jive. Bull jive.
You hear it.
I agree. In New Orleans, he could get away with a 28 and 11 game in which he shot 8 of 24 because nobody cared.
And you're going to say, oh, man, AD had 8.
Oh.
It wasn't his fault. He had 8 of he had 28 and 11.
Yet you, after game 1 loss, said, him.
Yeah.
He's the reason. You can't be that. This is the highest level. Again, the hottest seat you can sit on.
Right.
Be careful what you wish for, Anthony Davis. You wanted it, you got it.
Right.
So here we go. And he said that LeBron really didn't have to say anything to him before last night's game because he saw the look in my eye.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Why can't you have that look in your eye at every tip-off?
Right.
I don't know. Because you want to talk about all-time greatness, that's when your intangibles are such that you are chomping at the bit to get out and play another game. But I don't trust him to bring that kind of intensity for game 3 or game 4.
I do.
But maybe game 5. I don't know.
He knows he's the key, though. He's the key to the Lakers winning and winning the series and winning the next series and winning big. Because when he plays like this, Skip, there is no answer. Whiteside is too slow. Nurkic is too slow. Gabriel is too small. Melo can't guard him.
No.
There is no answer, Skip. And I think last night he's like the Lakers missed a shot. And he got going because he got the offensive rebound and was putting it back.
Yep.
He was very aggressive. He was
agree.
diving to the basket, and either he was getting the rebound or he was tipping it out and someone else was getting it.
Okay, to your point, look at his first baskets through the first half. Look at what started happening. He goes, put back dunk, so it's just off. He's just underneath and nobody screens him and he just dunks it,
right.
Okay? Then he gets a tip in. Again, nobody screens him. He just goes up and tips a miss right in. Then he gets a fast break layup because they just don't get back, and he just outruns the two bigs. I'm not sure they were both in the game at that point, but I think they were. And he outruns both of them to the other end, just gets a layup and an and one. Okay? Then he hits a little 4-foot floater because he's got supreme touch in the lane. Uh-oh, now you're in trouble. Guess what happens next? Put back dunk. So somebody misses a shot, he's just wide open underneath. He puts it right back in. Then he hits a little farther floater, still in the lane, 7-foot floater. Then he just gets a wide open dunk, okay? And then finally, with 49 seconds left in the half, he drifts out and takes his first three, and he makes it. And he finishes the half with a wide open driving layup and one. Well, guess what that adds up to? That adds up to 21 first-half points on 9 of 13. It's destruction. The halftime score is 56-39, and I'm pretty sure the game was over at that point.
Yes.
Didn't you feel like?
Yes.
Okay. So my point is, if he will do that in Game 3, it will be a wipeout. I told you this. This is why I picked a sweep. I said they will sweep Portland. Portland's a nice team. They're fun to watch, but they're not the Lakers.
Right.
They're just not good enough. Again, Zach Collins is out right now, and I don't know why he's got some ankle, but that hurts a little bit. That gives him more mobile height in the middle.
Yes.
And they don't have Trevor Ariza, so they don't have like a real primary defender on LeBron.
Right.
And they don't have Rodney Hood, who could also maybe on an off night for the two guards, he can heat up lefty threes.
Yes.
Okay, so to me, they overachieved. They won close games down the stretch. Brooklyn and Memphis, they won really tight games. And they were kind of lucky here and there that they got this far. So when everybody was saying they're the most dangerous 8 seed, no, they're not. They're just not. It should have. Look, the Lakers had a 6-point lead with 7 minutes left in game one. You got to close it.
And if Anthony Davis is as aggressive that night as he was last night.
You close it.
Yes.
You just, LeBron's got to close it. Anthony's got to close it.
But the thing with the Portland, Skip, is that CJ and Dame usually have to play well.
Yep.
And if one doesn't play well, the other has to go bonkers. And that's what we've seen in the bubble. When CJ hasn't played well, you see Dame go for 61. When CJ hadn't played well, you see Dame go for 41.
Okay.
And then when he did play well, Dame went for 42 and 12, but CJ was pretty close to around 30. So when you get those two guys going off, and now Nurkic is going to be active. He's going to get you 20 and 20. Whiteside is going to block you 4 or 5 shots. He's going to end up with 14 and 10 or 11 rebounds. So if you get that kind of performance, the question is, because Dame's going to need to average about 40 in order for them to win this series. Because they made a conscious effort last night, Skip, to get the ball out of his hand. And you see the double team, it was staggered. It's like, look, let's not be on the same level because he'll split us. Let's have one up close, one right there, just in case.
Smarter, better.
Yes.
Way to go, coaching staff.
Yes.
But all you need to know about last night is that Damian and CJ combined to go 2 of 12 from 3.
Yeah.
You're not really getting that many shots up.
Right.
3-point shots, and you're not doing what the Rockets do, right?
No.
And you're only making 2. And Damian is only making 1 of 7. Well, I got to tell you, you always say he's special. Last night, he was not special because he totaled 18 points. And look at his assist total. 1. He has 18 points and 1 assist. He got a little bit of a pass because he hurt his index finger on his non-shooting hand. We're about to discuss how that's going to impact this going forward. But the point was, don't let him off the hook for what didn't happen before in the 30 minutes he did play. No. He was 1 of 7.
Wait, Skip, he was due one of those now. I mean, he was averaging 40, 43, 44 points last 4 or 5 games.
Okay.
So he was due to have a cold game. But also, Skip, Dame is a type of guy, Skip, even if he's not scoring 40, he can hand out double-digit assists and get other guys involved.
1?
So now you not only did you limit his point production, you limited his ability to help someone else get involved.
Right. A guy who scored, what was it, 61 and 51 and 42
and 12.
Right?
Yeah.
He got 18 and 1 last night. Guess what?
Yeah.
You're going to lose by 30-ish, right? And that's exactly what happened.
Yes.
So in the end, what do I always say about the 3? I love the 3, but you do live and you die by it. And last night, they died by the 3. So, to me, is this series over? It's 1-1. Does it feel over to you?
It does not feel over because I know they'll regroup, and we're going to talk about, as you mentioned, we'll talk about Dame's hand, his dislocated index finger. It's on his offhand. So that's to be determined. But the thing is, if AD is going to be this aggressive, and I think the thing is Vogel is on to something, we got to play him at the 5. Because if you notice, Skip, they put AD at the 5 and they brought Kuzma in and put him at the 4. And so now Nurkic got to try and guard Kuzma on the wing. And what did Kuzma do? Whoop, right by him, 2 layups.
Yep.
Okay, you want to put a 7-foot, 300-pound out here? Good. I'm going to go right by you, bro.
It did look different, and it did cause big problems.
Yes.
And the Lakers are way better than the Trail Blazers, who will trail in game 3 and 4 and 5. And I believe it's over. It's over in 5 games.
Skip, I can't sell Dame short because I've seen him. He's capable of Herculean efforts. And he nor Dame didn't play particularly well. He nor CJ played particularly well last night. But the mark of a great player is that they bounce back. He'll see what they did. He'll come up because, Vogel had to come up with a nice chess move. Okay, now Terry Stotts and his staff gets an opportunity to see what they're doing. Okay, so what's the counter? What's the counter?
I say you have none. I say you're overmatched.
Well,
I say it's over.
Well, if we're going to KCP, we're going to get KCP. KCP hit them threes on them.
Yep.
Danny Green, Skip.
I love Danny Green. I hate Danny Green.
Skip, you saw what he did. He missed a wide open three. He missed a layup, and then he dribbled the ball out of bounds.
This is all new to you. It's old hat to me.
Yeah, well, I ain't know it was going to get this bad.
Yeah. Well, good luck. And congratulations on your first playoff victory in 8 years.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Skip. Hold on. What you mean, congratulations? We don't get no congratulations. We didn't win anything.
You just won the first round.
No. We're about Larry O'Brien's. That's what we're about.
Okay.
I'll let you congratulate me on that one.
Good luck.
So that's why we don't have a goat master today? We're not there yet?
Well, Fox, the prop lot wasn't open. I was trying to get me a centaur. I was trying to get me a centaur uniform.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll work on that for next time.
But, Skip, I'm telling you, Skip, do not let them win this title. Because every day I'm coming with that same centaur outfit on for a week straight.
Actually, no one needs that.
Yeah, they do get it. They need to see that.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
No mercy.
Damian Lillard was held to just 18 points in the Blazers' Game 2 loss to the Lakers last night. Dame was also forced to leave late in the third quarter after dislocating his left index finger while playing defense. X-rays came back negative, and when asked if he'd play Game 3, Lillard responded with, quote, "Oh, I'm playing." Shannon, how effective will Dame be moving forward?
Well, Skip, this is something I'm very familiar with. I dislocated the middle finger on my left hand with the brace myself for a fall, and then bloop. Next thing you know, it was painful, it was swollen, and I ended up having to take, two fingers together. The thing is, for me, I'm catching a ball. I don't have the ball in my hands every single play. And so we're going to see if I'm the Lakers, I'm going to see.
But by the way, you're catching 100-mile-an-hour fastballs from John Elway, right?
Yes.
Who had maybe
Well, actually, Skip, it happened to me when I was in Baltimore.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, it happened to me in
Well, then
Baltimore.
you were not. You were catching 75-mile-an-hour fastballs,
Yeah,
right?
Close.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, let's see how well he can dribble with the fingers, because normally they work like piano keys. Your hands do, on the basketball. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he dribbles the ball with his left hand. It also plays a major part in the shot. I think what a day, once the soreness alleviate somewhat, Dame will be just fine. The question is, Skip, what is his response to how the Lakers are starting to defend him? Is he going to say, because there are a couple of times, like normally he'll split the double team, or he'll rise up and shoot before the second defender gets there.
Yep.
What's his response going to be? But I don't think that finger is going to be an issue. It's painful, yes, no question about it. It's painful. And you're scared at first because you look down at your hand, you're like, that's not how my fingers normally look. So once they go back and they got it in place, Skip, yeah, it's painful because it went out of the joint. Now, I've had a dislocated elbow, which was way more painful than a dislocated finger. So I just think the thing is, it'll be a little discomfort. But the thing is, they're not playing today. Ice it, keep it iced. They'll tape it together and we'll see. I'll be surprised if he plays like this, Skip, because you see those fingers. He got his index finger. I had these two taped together, not the index finger, because I needed to, catch the ball. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem, but these guys find a way. He's a shooter. He'll find a way to try to get the ball in the basket.
So let's address this issue first. At that point that he hurt himself, it was 3:12 left in the third quarter last night, and they were down 3-0 points.
Right.
Should he have been in the game at that point? It was a 25-point game as early as 9:01 left in the third quarter. Should Coach Stotts have said, okay, that's enough?
Yeah, they were probably hoping they can get a 15-0 or 19-5 run, something like that, and get it down, and then all of a sudden, they're back in it. He plays major minutes. This was a blessing in disguise because he's playing 42 minutes a night, and he only got 30 last night.
I agree. I'm going to give Coach Stotts a break on this one.
Yeah.
It was still the third quarter.
Correct.
And to your point, there's probably no more nuclear firepower in this league outside of Steph and Clay than those two.
Correct.
So they can get going, and we know Damian can get going from logo distance.
Right.
So if they suddenly caught hot hands for whatever inexplicable reason. Could they have come back from 30 down? Probably not. But could they have made it interesting?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, so he's saying, when he was asked about it after the game, why was he in the game? He was playing basketball, said Terry Stotts. Okay, and the point is, that's just who he is and what he does.
Right.
He plays basketball.
Correct.
He plays 40X minutes a night.
He does.
Okay, so I'm good with that, but you're starting to dare the devil at about the 3-minute mark of the third quarter because he has played too many minutes, and you have played too many edge-of-the-cliff games in a row, which just wears on you psychologically. I thought the Blazers just came out flat last night. I thought they looked mentally fatigued to me. I thought maybe they took their foot off the gas a little bit, like, okay, we won a game. Now let's just see if maybe we can sort of accidentally win this game.
Well, theoretically, if you really look at it, Skip, this was their 10th playoff game.
Yeah.
Because since they arrived in the bubble, every game has been playoff mentality. So you're exerting more energy than, say, a typical game in February, Skip, on a Tuesday, and you play in Sacramento.
Okay.
Every game has been playoffs. And Dame has been playing 42 minutes a night.
I got it. So from what I know about dislocated fingers, as long as you didn't break any of the bones in the finger, and he did not, according to them, X-rays negative, it will be okay sooner than later.
Yes.
There is soreness, and my only issue with how the Blazers handled this last night, I believe in ice. I ice my knees every night. I never miss a night. Ernesty says, again? I never miss a night because it's magic.
Yes.
It's the magic healer is ice.
Yes.
I wrap both my knees in ice every night because I'm going to run every morning, and they just get sore.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
I was surprised he wasn't iced up.
Right.
Like the clock is ticking on game 3. It's coming in 48 hours. Well, this is just about pain threshold. It's about soreness. The soreness will go away. It's inflamed, obviously, in the joint. It will go away. And if you'll help it, obviously you'll take anti-inflammatories, but if you will help it with ice, he should have been it should have been wrapped in ice immediately when he went back.
Well, normally we have to stick out in a ice cup.
Okay.
Freeze the cold water. Yeah.
However you want to do it, it should have been then.
Yes.
So I was disappointed in them. They should have been ahead of that curve. Because you're just wasting time. The clock's ticking toward game 3. And yet, I do believe that even though it's the index finger, so it's going to affect your handle a little bit.
Yes.
Your crossover, you know, anything. It's going to affect your ability, as you're talking about catching passes, but he's got to be able to catch the basketball also. And it can bother your shot, even though it's the offhand.
Correct.
It can mess with your mind a little bit because it's not going to, with them taped together, it's not going to feel exactly
Feel the same, especially dribbling, Skip.
Okay.
Because you don't normally dribble.
Got it. But I do think he was feeling a lot of pressure last night that surprised me because I thought they would feel like last night was a free shot, but I think they felt the weight of the world to come out and show the world they are that good. And they had crowed after game 1. We can beat these guys. And I felt like Damian came out last night feeling a lot of pressure. This will take some pressure off him because expectations will lower. And now you've got the Willis Reed syndrome. I know our younger viewers won't remember Willis Reed, but he had a bad knee and he hobbled out onto the floor.
He tore his quad, didn't he?
Did he
I think it was quad. I think it was his quad.
Did he tear it? I don't think he
pulled it. He had a pulled
it,
quad because he came back there. He dragged the leg.
He dragged it out, and all he needed to do was just be out there for the tip-off, and he didn't do much in the game.
Did he have 2 points?
Yeah, he had 2 points, but it was just the inspiration. He was so again. Damian's got to be better than 2 points.
Oh yeah.
But again, if he'll suck it up and be able to play, I think some pressure will be off. And it's like Dick Motta used to tell me, it's the wounded tiger theory. Beware the wounded tiger. Especially if a team's lost 2 or 3 of its better players, all of a sudden everybody will just rise up. Well, he might rise up.
Well, Skip, the thing is, Skip, if they were in the Rose Garden, I don't know what if they still call it the Rose Garden. If they were in Portland, I might agree with that. But they're in the bubble. There is no home crowd. There's no crowd that's gonna get you pumped up. That's your crowd. They're screaming Dame, 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 dollar, 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 and they're playing all your music. So that's gonna be a little different. Skip.
You know, it is weird in the bubble. I've been thinking about this last night, where usually at least you get to change scenery after 2 games, and the whole vibe of the game is going to change because, oh, you're at home now. And LeBron and AD got to deal with your crowd now. Well, this is monotony because you're going to have to go potentially 7 straight times to the same sort of weird, dark arena with virtual fans.
You might have to change sides. So where the Lakers were sitting, that might be Portland.
Right.
And where Portland was sitting, that
Just
might
to
be the
mix
Lakers.
it up a little bit.
But that's the only thing. But Skip, they have something that's more troubling. They was averaging 126 points in the 8 games in the seeding games. They're averaging 94.
Yeah.
I think that is a bigger problem than Dame's hand. They got to figure out a way. It's hard. It's going to be hard for them to win games in which they do not get to a magic number 115, 120, 125. These 100-point games, I don't know if they can consistently win those. But Dame and CJ need to play well. And if one of those guys doesn't play well, the other guy needs to be nuclear. Now, they're capable of that. They're more than capable.
They are.
But that's the question. Can one of these guys go off? It's probably have to be Dame. Dame needs to average 40 in order for them to win this series.
The trapping, if done smartly, is really bothering him.
It is.
And the problem with him as a superstar is he's only, what do you say, 6 feet? I think he's listed at 6'2", but 6-ish.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so he can't just say, okay, if you're going to trap me out high, I'll just go post up on you. Jordan would just say, okay, just give me the ball on the edge of the lane and not let the elbow of the
And it's harder for him, Skip. You trap LeBron. LeBron is 6'9", so he can see the entire court. He can see over that. So that's what makes him such a great passer is that when you try and trap him with the double team, okay, I know where you came from.
I agree.
So my guy's sitting over here wide open. It's a little more difficult for Dame because he is a smallish guard. So when you get 6'4", you get 6'8", trap him up high, it's a lot more difficult for him to see over that.
So my bottom line to this is I do think he'll bounce back and play very well, and I think he'll have much bigger numbers than he put up, and I don't think the index finger will bother him that much.
I don't either.
I do think the pressure will be somewhat off him so he can play a little more free in the next game, and I don't think it will matter.
Well, I'm playing on his right hand. I'm going to see how well he can dribble and do what can he do with that left hand. That's the way I'm going to play him. I'm not going to let him have the ball in his dominant hand. I'm going to try to keep him away from that.
Good luck.
All right, guys, we will have an update from Chris Haynes as well later in the show on Dame's injury, so we'll get there. But I want to move on to something that we saw from LeBron after the game. LeBron attended his post-game interview while holding a copy of the autobiography of Malcolm X. When asked about the book, LeBron said that he first started reading it a couple days ago and that Malcolm X's words from the 60s are very relatable to what is happening today. So, Shannon, what do you make of him bringing this book to the post-game interview?
Well, Skip, if you go back, he's always been a guy that read different books, especially come playoff time. So this is not new. I hope
started in 2012 when after he'd had the meltdown against Dallas, against the Thunder. He started, you could see him before the game at his locker reading.
And some people like to read books to relax their minds. Skip, I had played with guys that like to read the newspaper. Take their mind off the game, get their mind somewhere else. And I think the thing is, and people don't get, sometimes when we hear Malcolm X, we don't realize the change that he went through. And this book is about a metamorphosis. This is about a Detroit Red that was a pimp, was a hustler, went to prison, and had an awakening. And he became one of the preeminent voices of his time and was a powerful voice in the black community. And Skip, a lot of the things that he said then are true today. And when you read this book, Skip, and I think when people hear Malcolm X, the only thing they want to attribute to him is by any means necessary. So if you have to pull your firearm out, if you have to do this, if somebody hitting you upside your head.
Nation of Islam, Malcolm X, that was that guy.
But this Malcolm X, Skip, took a pilgrimage to Mecca.
He did.
And for the very first time, because Malcolm X grew up when it was all segregated. There was blacks here, there was white water fountain, black water fountain, white interest, black interest. And when he went to Mecca, he saw something. He saw black, he saw white, he saw Asian, praying, drinking from the same fountain.
He did.
And he said, so it really doesn't have to be like that.
Because he'd always advocated segregation, separation of the blacks and the whites.
Because he's like, well, if you don't want us, we don't want to be here. So that was his thinking, and once he saw that in Mecca, he was like, we can be together. And he changed his philosophy, like, I'm for anybody that's willing to help me and my people, or any oppressed people, gain equality, gain justice in America. So for LeBron to read that, and LeBron, Skip, now you know what he is about this social activism. Remember, he wore the hat the other night, had, Make America Great, Make America Rest the officers that killed Breonna Taylor.
Yep.
So, Skip, remember we had this conversation, and there were a lot of people saying that they shouldn't go down to the bubble because this is going to be all forgotten.
Agreed.
But if anything, Skip, they brought it more to the forefront.
I hope so.
Because all they do is talk about everybody that we realize while we're down here. They're talking about Breonna Taylor. They're talking about George Floyd. But back to LeBron. Skip, LeBron is very conscious. LeBron is very woke. And I think it says a lot about the man, and I think we're going to talk about Masai Ujiri a little later, Skip. It says a lot. LeBron James makes $100 million a year. A lot of the problems that affect average minorities in America won't see him in his gated community. But that's what makes him so great. That's what makes him unique, is because he's willing to shine a light and give a voice to people that cannot be seen and cannot be heard. And that's the thing, Skip, when everybody talk about, oh, LeBron, you're in your $100 million house and you make all this and that. Why do you care? Because when you have empathy, that's what you do. You see, because he wasn't always that. He grew up with a single mom in Akron, Skip, in the housing project. And he bounced house to house. And he talks about how his mom struggled to pay and had bills and how he had to go live with people. So for me, that book, I highly recommend it. Not just for African Americans, but for America.
I agree.
Read that book and you'll have a greater understanding of not only of Malcolm X, but the plight of a black in America.
Okay, I got it. So before I talk about the iconic book you just discussed by an iconic writer named Alex Haley, if they don't know who he was, we'll get to that in just a second. I'm just going to...
Probably more well known for Roots.
Roots, 1976. This book was 1965, as told to Alex Haley, the great Alex Haley, by Malcolm X. I'm going to deal with this just from a basketball level. LeBron took the book to the post-game interview, and again, they're separated by a partition, but he's sitting next to Anthony as Anthony is asked the opening questions because obviously he had a huge game. He had
the game, correct.
LeBron sat, according to the reporters, reading his book while Anthony was addressing the opening questions, and I found it a little disrespectful. It was his night, and LeBron is so shrewd. He knows what's going to happen. He obviously wanted to be asked, if you're going to sit reading the book in front of the reporters and the virtual reporters, you're going to get asked about the autobiography of Malcolm X. So you're going to distract a little bit from Anthony's monster night, one of the great nights of his career. And you're also going to distract from the fact that LeBron scored the fewest points in a win in his playoff history, 241 games, 10 points. So he's such a shrewd operator with the media. I always tell you, he plays the media like a baby grand piano, that he said to himself, I'm going to take my book because I want the focus on my book. It's going to take a little away from Anthony, but it's going to take a lot away from my night, which was not a great night. What did he end up with?
4 of 11.
Okay, he's 4 of 11 from 10 points, and he had 6 turnovers, which equaled his 6 rebounds and 7 assists. So by his standards,
he didn't play well.
He didn't play well, and it didn't matter because they won by a million. So again, that's going to get lost in the shuffle. So I thought it was a smart move by LeBron for distraction purposes. But to your point, yes, he tends to get swept up in what he's reading, and I think he is swept up in this book. I don't know how much time he actually has to read, but whatever it is, he's getting absorbed by this book because you will. I'm a little surprised he's coming a little late to this party because he's 35 years of age, and this is something you should read in high school, right? It should, because it's powerful. It's black or white, but any color, you could read this and you can learn from it.
Well, Skip, you got to be really woke to read that book because that's not something they're recommending in high school. Maybe now.
Yeah, maybe.
But unless you're very conscious of what's actually going on, you're probably not, that's not a book that you're going to gravitate because you've heard so many negative things about Malcolm X, Skip. So why would I read a book about someone that I've heard so much negativity about? It's not until you read this book or you do some research on your own to understand what Malcolm X became.
So LeBron talked about what a great man Malcolm X was and how he wished he could have met him and obviously Dr. King, those two. And for me, from a distance, again, from a white perspective, the Malcolm X that I followed closely through my high school years, he did a prison stint for, I think it was larceny, but when he came out, there was greatness about him as a leader, an orator, a speaker, a thinker.
Yes.
He had greatness about him.
Yes.
I personally found it troubling and disturbing because he was advocating for a while violence, progress through violence. And yet it was about, if you're going to be violent with us, we're going to be violent back. And just remember, it was a period in the 60s when black people were hanging from trees in the South in this country.
That is correct.
So that troubled me. And the whole idea of segregation, I want, you know how I am, I want that.
Right.
And yet this book, as it evolves through the book, it's about a spiritual conversion. He becomes Sunni. He goes to Mecca on a pilgrimage.
Yes.
And he is woke in a new way.
Then this epiphany he had.
Yes, he has an epiphany. So it is an iconic book. And for those who don't know Roots, it was the next iconic book written by Alex Haley.
Yeah.
And it's significant. Both are extremely powerful and significant, and I recommend both books. If you don't know, you need to learn from those two books.
Correct.
So I'm proud of LeBron for doing it. I'm not sure that was the right moment to introduce it. They said he was seen at practice reading it.
Well, he's on the stationery back there.
Okay, that's where it was.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that was the first picture.
Yes.
But again, I didn't want to see him upstage his co-star because that was some night for his co-star. It
was, Skip. So if I'm reading you and hearing you correctly, you do not have a problem with him reading a book. You have a problem at that moment bringing the book.
Wrong place, wrong time for that.
Okay.
But he knew what was going to happen. He wanted to speak about it. He's not even fit. Look, well, you can see there, he's barely started, right? And he said he's only read a portion of it. And I'm sure he wants to speak more about it as he goes through the spiritual conversion segments of the book. So here we go. But again, I'm great with that. Not great with the timing.
Well, this is probably something he talked to AD about. AD probably said, "Bro, hey,
do it.
As long as you're up there with me, I'm cool with it." Because it's not very often, Skip, that LeBron normally, a lot of times when LeBron goes to the podium with someone else, they still only want to talk to LeBron, like as if that other person isn't actually there. And so when you have a podium, they call it a podium game. That means,
it's a podium game. No, it was.
Normally, the superstar always gets to go to the podium. But Anthony had a night. And hopefully he doesn't look at what LeBron bringing this book, this autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley. Hopefully he doesn't look at it as that he's upstaging me. He's stealing my moment. He's taking my shine away. Because, man, that is a very powerful book, and it has a lot to do in and LeBron is absolutely correct. A lot of things, and that's what's so prophetic. That's what's so prophetic about it, Skip. The things that Dr. King, the things that Malcolm X, the things that James Baldwin spoke about in the 60s, how relevant and how true.
That was his main takeaway was, it's now. It's still now.
Yes, you're right. It's kind of like, I guess, Skip, you go back to the Bible, in Scripture, they write about these floods and they write about these things that thousands of years ago that's happening in today's time. And when Malcolm X is speaking and Dr. King spoke, but as you said, Skip, there are some people that just have a way with words. There are some people that can just say this, someone else can say it, and it doesn't seem. He and Dr. King and
completely agree.
Man,
it's a gift.
That's a gift.
It's a gift.
Everybody can't skip. Everybody has a gift. Some people can play the instrument, and can act, or can play sport, can cook. The words were their gift, and the way they can tie them together, and the way they can make their voice rise and fall, and the drama, the effect.
Power. Agreed.
Man. But don't worry about that. But I tell you what, I got something for you on Saturday night.
What do you got?
Make sure Ernestine go ahead and get you a little something so you can sit back and relax and watch this performance what LeBron gonna do on Saturday night.
Really?
On a Saturday?
He's gonna make up for last night?
On a primetime game?
Really?
Ain't no telling.
Does that mean you're promising goat mask on Monday?
Guaranteed.
That's what I heard yesterday.
You know what? I might do.
I didn't hear it.
Hey, Jenny, I might do my portion from the car.
Really?
I would be too cool to even come up in here. I might be too cool to come up in here.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'll be from the car.
Guaranteed right now.
I'll be right here.
Zoom. They gonna have to zoom me from the whip.
want to zoom in to you, Shannon. You could come to work like the rest of us. Really good stuff from both of you guys.
I'll be on Fox property, but I ain't coming in the building.
Okay.
No mercy.
Rob Gronkowski is Tom Brady's latest teammate to come out and defend the 43-year-old QB's arm strength. After practice yesterday, Gronk told reporters that Brady's arm strength is where it was during the tight end's rookie season 10 years ago, and that it, quote, might actually be stronger. Oh, Skip, I can't wait to hear what you think about this, but I guess I'll ask Shannon, is this hype or truth?
You know what I think?
You believe in this?
You know, I took my medicine this morning, so my blood pressure is not going to get up fooling with you, Skip.
Okay. I didn't start it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. No, every day. First it was Chris Godwin, and now it's Gronk, and then Bruce Arians. I mean,
do we sense a trend here?
Yeah, a trend that everybody on this hype train. That's what. Skip, what is Gronk supposed to say? Call him old noodle arm? No. Skip, guess what? They might be right. Tom Brady's arm looks good. But you know why his arm look good? Because ain't nobody teeing off on him. Let me see once the season start and they start putting them rod L's and them bike helmets and them shuts up under his chin. Let me see how good that arm strength. Because it'll
be shield on shield, right?
Yes. Because what we do know, Skip, is that we watched him last year, and a lot of scouts and a lot of people have said he started to flinching. He started to turn it away. He had his lowest completion percentage, yards per attempt in his career, Skip Bayless.
Did he?
Skip, I get it. It's a great story. We like narrative. See, sports is just not about winning and losing. We need a story. We need a 20-year vet from one team that went to 9 Super Bowls, won 6, go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the losingest sports franchise in North America, and brings them up. He rises from the ashes like a phoenix. That's a great story. A team that hadn't been to the playoffs in a decade. And Tom Brady comes in on his white horse, and he saves the day.
And he wins the MVP, and he takes the Buccaneers all the way to a home Super Bowl.
I don't care what anybody says. Anybody that thinks they're the same man 10 years or the same woman they were 10 years ago, they're fooling themselves. It's just not possible, Skip. It's just not. You can be still a great player, and Tom Brady is, but he's not the same player. He's not. Now, the film doesn't lie. Coach Belichick, if Coach Belichick thought he was the same guy, Coach Belichick wouldn't have did what he did. Coach Belichick said, I need this guy here 3 more years. Coach Belichick said, nah, I'm good. I've seen enough. You holding us back. You talking about you want more. You want to be involved more in the game plan. Coach Belichick said, I'm trying to scale you back. Because I see you not the same. You can't do the same. You can't elevate.
Give me Stid.
You can. Okay, you got jokes, huh?
Yeah.
You cannot elevate the same level of players as you once could. So now he's on a big old yacht, and you talk about, oh, he's the same captain. He's not the captain that navigated the SSL Minnow. He got a big old luxury liner. He got that Jerry Jones yacht.
Yeah, the Minnow. It had a bad fate.
Yes.
Yeah, they got marooned.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
So, Skip, I do not believe it. I believe Gronk is saying all the right things, and that's what you do when your teammate. You say, hey, man, that joint look good, man. Yeah, I can't tell any difference. No, you don't. But okay, we're going to see. We're going to see when they put them pads on for real and the games start for real. I ain't talking about no preseason. I ain't talking about no. When they start hitting, when the fish start biting, we're going to see.
Okay. So I am highly amused by this topic because it is eating at you, and it's eating at your subconscious, and there's a little bell going off in the back of your brain, and you got a big old brain up there. But there's this little bell going off saying, Shannon, be careful. He's telling the truth. Tom Brady has found the fountain of youth in Florida. Isn't that where it's supposed to have been?
Yeah.
Ponce de Leon? Is it right in that region?
St. Augustine, yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's close. Maybe it was actually in Tampa. Who knew? I think Gronk is telling the absolute truth about a quarterback he obviously loves, obviously a close friend, but I do not believe he's protecting. I do not believe he's exaggerating. He could have just said, if he was seeing diminished arm strength, he could have just said, Tom's got plenty of arm left. But he didn't say that. He went all the way back to his rookie year in 2010. It's a long time ago. And he said, that's when Tom was, he said 32 or 30. He was 33 at that point, 10 years ago. And he said his arm actually may be stronger than when he was 33, which is incredible, said Rob Gronkowski. Do you think he would just make that up? Do you think he would just pick that out of the air and throw it out there?
You believe that?
I do believe it because they're all saying it. Arians is saying it. Chris Godwin is saying it. Mike Evans is saying it. They're all raving in surprise about his arm strength. Chris Godwin put it in a beautiful perspective because he said, all I heard last year from you, he didn't say your name, but it was commentators.
You know what? That's probably why they weren't winning no game. They worried about what I'm saying up here. You need to be worried about them games in Tampa.
You could be right. 7-9 they were with Jameis. And I love Jameis. And I think Jameis did a lot of great things. Not just good things, great things last year. He also had 35 turnovers, 30 interceptions, and 5 lost fumbles. Tom Brady will not have that. So
he won't have 35 turnovers. He won't have no 35 touchdowns either.
Want to bet?
Yeah, we already
bet. I got 40.
Yeah.
Your problem is that Tom Brady now has the best supporting cast he's ever had. He had the worst last year in year 19 in New England. Now he's got the best. And what I also loved about what Gronk said, because Gronk gets this, he knows. And Gronk plays dumb a lot, like he plays goofy and all that, but he's not stupid. You've sat with him before, right?
I have, yeah.
And he said to him, Tom looks refreshed. He looks ready to play every single day, and he's motivated every day. I got to tell you, that's a shot at that guy who still coaches up in...
I do believe that. I do believe he's motivated. I do believe he's refreshed. Skip, sometimes it's like getting out of a bad relationship. You know, you don't realize how bad the relationship is because you're in it. And then once you get out of it, everybody's like, man, you seem like a different guy.
I agree. He went through football hell for the last 3 years because you know and I know it got reported that the trade debt, well, he knew it full well because he's the one who stopped it.
Yes.
Bill Belichick was about to elevate that guy behind him, that guy who started the Super Bowl last year. Jimmy G, the apple of Belichick's eye, the guy that he found to replace Tom Brady, what was in the second round?
Jimmy G, second round pick, yes.
And he was right on schedule, and Tommy, as you say, went up to Daddy, Robert Kraft, and said, no. Him or me. And Robert Kraft made the right choice because you know what was about to happen? An Eagles Super Bowl that they should have won because Tom Brady threw for a record playoff 505 yards. And then they did win another one against the Rams.
Yeah.
Okay?
Skip, it's kind of in this situation like this. If you threaten somebody with a breakup, you probably should go on and break up.
You should. I agree.
And that's what happened. Coach Belichick, because I don't believe from that point on, Tommy really fully trusted Coach Belichick. They got along. I mean, they had to because they knew we got to make this relationship work. But once you threaten someone with a breakup, you probably, and then you're like, well, let's go to counsel. Let it go. Let it go.
So you know and I know that sometimes a lot of your physical manifestations are all from your psychological peace of mind.
Yes.
If you have flow in your brain, it can translate into flow into your throwing motion. You throw freely, you run freely. You're free of that relationship. And so I don't doubt, again, you know and I know, he never had a rifle. We're not talking about that. He didn't.
He was never Mahomes.
No, he's Montana-esque.
Yes.
It's a little, let's give it a little above average velocity, but obviously he lives by accuracy. And to your point, it was not accurate last year, but he also had a receiving corps that was dead last in separation, as Pro Football Focus calls it.
Skip, when I look at Tom, I believe Tom loves football. He loved football in New England. He just didn't love being around the people that he was around. Skip, you can love your job, but hate coming to work because I hate the people. Man, I can't. Bob make me sick. I wish he'd get fired. You know what I'm saying? I believe that's how it was with Tom Brady. Tom loved New England. He loved playing football. But because Coach Belichick had tried to do what he tried to do, he didn't like coming to work because You got to interact. You got to put it. Yeah, Coach, how you doing today? You got a good day? How's your girlfriend, wife, what? I think Linda. I think that's her name. How's she doing? You know, you got to make small talk. You like, I can't stand you. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things, Skip.
Plus, you have to take his verbal abuse because he didn't change.
Yes.
He's still going to be all over you in practice, all over you in film sessions, and you know he wanted to get rid of you.
Right.
It's hard. You got to swallow, man. You just got to swallow it and go on and try to play.
I'm sure there are so many times that Tom's wanted to tell Coach Belichick to shut the F up.
I agree.
You make me sick.
Yep.
I'm so sick of you. Because a lot of this is, and get to a point where you say, Skip, this is so unnecessary. This is not about me. This is about you. You try to show your control. You try to show, look, I talk to Tom, and then everybody else is going to go home and tell their significant other, talk to their homeboy, man, Coach Belichick got all into Tom Brady today. I don't know what that was about. And and Tom Brady's like, man, I'm so over this. I'm just over you. And it happens sometimes, Skip. Sometimes it really does happen. And I know there are people out there that's listening like, man, I love my job. But the people that I work with, and this one in particular, it wasn't everybody's Skip. Because he likes his teammates. I'm sure Mr. Kraft, you know what he thinks about Mr. Kraft. It's just this one in particular. And it's the one that you always got to work with.
Well, it's the one.
Yes. It's like I was in a science project, and they always repair. And I don't want to work with him.
So now he's Tampa Bay, right? Now he's Tommy Mahomes. He's got a gun. Here we go.
See, there you go. We doing good. Look at that. Look at that right his elbow, Skip. I see a lot of wrinkled skin. I see a lot. You see that, Jenny? You see it what I see, Jenny?
He's 43.
Yeah, that look like a 53-year-old arm to me.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
It's just muscle.
Yeah.
That's called pliability.
I'm thinking no.
Stretches the skin.
How about the pliability pic, the before and after of how good he looks? He said, that is pliability.
He better should have done some push-ups or something before he took that shot.
Maybe, Shannon, it's just jealousy for you. Like, I can't explain this right now. I mean, I don't know what is happening.
No mercy.
Damian Lillard was held to just 18 points in the Blazers' Game 2 loss to the Lakers last night. Dame was also forced to leave late in the third quarter after dislocating his left index finger while playing defense. X-rays did come back negative, and when asked if he'd play Game 3, Lillard responded with, quote, "Oh, I'm playing." We're now joined by Yahoo Sports senior NBA insider and TNT sideline reporter Chris Haynes, who is in the bubble. Chris, I'm happy to have you because I'm hoping for a good update here. What's the latest with Dame?
Well, it's similar to what he just said. He will play. You have to remember, keep this in context, that Dame has never dislocated his finger before. And so while he will be a go for Saturday, he's never had to play with a dislocated finger. He's never had to adapt to that. And so you would expect that he would probably try out and get some shots up today just to see how it feels with that ball and try to get used to playing with a ball with a dislocated finger. It is his non-shooting hand, which is good, but like I said, he's never played with that before. So that's something to look forward to see how effective he will be in Game 3.
So, Chris, any issue with Dame still being in a game that was Lakers by 30 points at that point late in the third quarter?
No, I mean, you question it at a certain point. You know, when it starts to getting upwards to 30, you question is it worth it to keep a player that magnitude in the game that long? There's some second guessing, obviously. I did question why he was still in there at that point. But you look at that Portland team, one of the best three-point shooting teams, in this league, and you look at their resume and you see, okay, well, maybe Coach Stott thought, like, if they just got on a hot streak, they could get into this, especially with the way the Lakers have been shooting during this restart. So I see the understanding of that, but yeah, I definitely did question if he was in there too long.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is now he's going to have to receive the ball. They're going to have, when they throw him the ball, it's going to be a little discomfort. But the question is, the way I saw him had his tape, he had the index finger and the middle finger taped together. And when I dislocated my middle finger, I had the middle finger and the ring finger taped together. So that's going to be very different, Chris, because basically you're going to be dribbling the basketball with 3.5 fingers because your 2 fingers are taped together. That's one.
Yeah, well, look, I'm going to say this, man. It would take Dame getting that finger amputated for him not to play on Saturday. And even still, he probably would still be a GOAT.
Right.
So he's going out there, man. Like, he really wanted a chance at the playoffs. He's there. Like, they taste success. Like, this is a team that really believes that they can take the Lakers down 4 games. And so that hasn't wavered none of it. You know, I spoke to Dame a little bit last night and this morning. That hasn't wavered. Like, they're in this to win it, and that's still the plan and still the focus.
One more thing.
No, sorry.
Do you believe that they can they can beat the Lakers with a less than 100% Dame Lillard?
It's hard to answer that, Shannon, because I don't know how comfortable he is going to be with that finger. You know, and that's the thing. Like, I still think he's going to be effective. I still think he's going to have some monster games. But I just don't know. And then, you know, does that finger get hit? This is the playoff now. People know you take the head off the snake, the body is going to collapse. So what's stopping somebody from
deliberately chopping it? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying, especially when you look at the Lakers. You know, this is a desperate team. You know, a lot is at stake. They can't get bounced in the first round. You know, there are legacies at stake here. So I can see all things being up for grabs.
So, Chris, when we spoke to you last, it was ahead of the series. We asked for your prediction. You said, you know, I need to see game 1. So you saw game 1. Portland wins a close one. Then you got to see game 2, unfortunately for Portland, because they got blown out and blown out fast. Where does that leave you now? If you have to predict going forward, what have you seen that has changed your mind?
Well, I've seen the Lakers hit 14 3-pointers, which is a franchise record in the playoffs. And guys, you guys know, like, over the last 4 or 5 years, 14 threes for a lot of teams in the game, that's pretty okay. That's, you know, it's nice, but a lot of teams are doing that. And so I say this. I don't know if that shooting is going to be sustainable. But also, Skip, again, going back to Dame, how effective is he going to be?
Yep.
And so that's why it's still, right now, it's still hard. I'm not trying to cop out. It's still hard to go out there and say, what team can we expect to pull this series out? Because you're playing with, you know, J.R. Smith and Dwyane Wade has got some time now. A lot of people believe, as well as myself, that they should have been playing, you know, in that first game. And they're some of the best shooters that they have on the roster. Why were they sitting? And so it's still hard for me to say. I want to see how effective Dame is. I want to see if he can adjust with that finger injury.
The biggest thing that should be concerning for Portland is that LeBron James had 10 points and they won by 28. LeBron James did not play particularly well, and they still, with under a minute to go, had a chance to win that game.
And by the way, he had 6 turnovers, and they won by 20.
So, Chris, this has to be concerning to Portland. And if you're looking at them, at you from just a reporter standpoint, like, LeBron has not played well, and we know what he's capable of. You talk about a guy that averages 28 for a career in the playoffs, and he hasn't been close to that. And we know he shoots over 50%. He's very efficient. He hasn't been close to that. So while we're waiting on Dame, and we know Dame can go nuclear, we know LeBron James can go nuclear, and this series will be over because he can nullify anything that Dame does.
Yeah, and that was surprising. That was surprising to see that they pull out that game of that magnitude with that gap in score with LeBron James scoring 10 points. You look at LeBron's history. When he doesn't play or when he doesn't play well, the team doesn't play well.
They lose.
So to see that type of performance, yeah, they lose. And sometimes by a large margin. And so to have AD step up the way he stepped up, that was big on both ends of the floor. He was a monster. But I will say this, is that if you're looking on from the Portland's vantage point, they've been so far been able to kind of contain LeBron. That I don't expect that to continue, but they've been able to contain him. Will AD come with the same force? Will the Lakers come close to hitting 10 threes a game? Have they solved all their ills? Danny Green is still struggling. You know, KCP came out and had a good game. So those are some of the question marks that the Lakers still going to have to answer as the series progresses.
So, Chris, you know the Blazers as well as any reporter in the bubble or out of the bubble. The Blazers I saw last night for the first time in a long time, first time in the bubble, came out flat. They looked a little deadheaded. They just looked mentally and physically fatigued to me, because we know they're not a great defensive team. They're probably the worst defensive team, at least statistically, in the bubble. Yeah. And yet, last night was horrendous because, yes, Anthony got off fast. AD was all over them because nobody screened him. If you look at his first 5 buckets, it's just like put back dunk, follow, tip in, fast break layup. He's just getting anything he wants at the rim because nobody seemed to screen him or contest him or challenge him at all in the paint. He owned the paint because nobody even tried to fight in the paint. How disappointed were you in just sort of Portland's effort last night?
You have to, there are energy guys in the league, Skip, where they're going like the Kenneth Faried when he was in the league.
Yep.
Like, those are energy guys, right? But Kenneth Faried is not a star. So sometimes you forget about it. And then he'll go in there and get those put-back dunks and offensive rebounds. You can't forget about Anthony Davis. That's on the bigs right there. Anthony Davis is a star. And like you mentioned, Skip, the majority of his points, especially early on, were off of action. Being in the paint, getting through the seams, LeBron finding you in the paint for easy dunks, putbacks, offensive rebound. Then once he got in the rhythm, then the second half, that's when you start seeing him hit those threes. You start seeing him hit like a spin, drive,
step
back. Yeah, like he was feeling good. And so you get those easy baskets and you start feeling good. And then next thing you know, it's the game is over. And so I think Anthony Davis, he was the catalyst in getting the Lakers on such a good start to where it didn't allow Dame enough time to really get into the game. Because Dame, if you look at the way he plays, sometimes he switches up. But for the most part, he likes to get his teammates involved. He kind of feels the flow. He's a boxer. Like when it's in the offseason, like Dame is boxing. Like he trains, really does training in boxing. And so he likes to feel his opponent out a lot of times. But yesterday, I think things just got haywire. He wasn't able to get into the game.
Because can the Blazers win a series in which can they win this series if Dame doesn't go bonkers, if he doesn't average 35, 40 a night, and CJ needs to come along with 20 plus? Can they win a series with both of these guys just scoring in the 20s?
I think Dame or CJ have to score 30.
Okay.
So if Dame is 25, CJ got to get 30. But if you look at their team, like Nurkic has shown that he's getting you 20 plus, 15 plus boards. Carmelo any given night can give you 20. So they have some options in which if somebody is struggling, somebody else can pick up the torch. But with that being said, if both guys are getting 20 and they're shooting 40% or even below that, that's not a recipe for success.
So, Chris, my 2 cents from a distance about Dame going forward is I actually think this minor injury, and it's still minor, will take a little pressure off. I thought there was way too much pressure on Portland to try to live up to their new role as the team that's going to knock the Lakers out in the first round. And to me, look at the numbers. Dame and CJ last night, they didn't even get up that many shots. They take 12 threes. They make a grand total of 2. Damian goes 1 of 7 from 3, which is just obviously it can't happen. And even worse, he had 1 assist last night. Cannot happen. I think the injury won't be debilitating for him. I think it'll take a little, he'll focus on it instead of on a bad game. And I think he'll shoot it a little better, even with his fingers taped together, because he'd better. You can't have an 18.1 assist game. You're going to lose. I don't care what CJ does. You're going to lose.
And you have to credit the Lakers defense. They weren't all outright trapping him. It was kind of like a zone up there. Mm-hmm. It was a little ISO, but then you had Kyle Kuzma a little bit behind.
Staggered.
So Dame he staggered. So you had Dame looking at that. So Dame is just looking, okay, I can get by my man, but Kyle Kuzma right there waiting. So they did a good job, but that's something that I don't think Dame has seen in the playoffs. He's seen it before, but I think in the playoffs, particularly in this restart, he hasn't seen the defense like that. But I expect him to come back and figure it out. But no, Skip, to your point, is there pressure alleviated now that he has this finger injury? Look, you can argue that there's more pressure on the Lakers because now they feel like, okay, Dame is wounded. We got to come out and we got to take him. Like, we cannot lose to the wounded Dame Portland Trailblazers. So I can see both sides, and that's why I'm interested. I'm very interested in seeing Game 3, to seeing how he bounced back and how he's able to play with that injury.
Well, Chris, if you watched last night, the Lakers did something they don't like to do because Anthony Davis says he doesn't like playing it. They put Anthony Davis at the 5. They put Kyle Kuzma in at the 4, and they put Nurkic on Kyle Kuzma, and Kyle Kuzma says, I'm going by you. I'm not settling. I'm going to go by you. And when you put AD at the 5, now he has an advantage over every 5 that plays because he's too fleet of foot. He can get up and down like a David Robinson. And you saw what he was doing, as you mentioned. And then they saw that he could go by him. Now he's basically shooting warm-up threes. He's basically shooting, warm-up step back because they're so afraid of him putting on the ball on the floor and getting by him.
Yeah, no, AD doesn't like to play that 5. And to be more specific, he doesn't like guard the 5.
No.
That's it. But offensively, like you mentioned, man, he's a mismatch. And like you said, those open threes are coming because Whiteside or Nurkic, they're used to going back in the paint on D. They're not used to, I got to get out there on that 3-point line. But I will say this. I don't know in this series if Frank Vogel will go to starting AD at the 5.
No.
But what I do know, I don't think so. But what he does do, he keeps the same starting 5. But as you see, at certain points in the game and long periods of the game, AD transitions into that 5 spot. And I think just from a mental standpoint, AD knowing like, okay, I'm not starting at the 5, but it's okay if I transition there throughout the game. I think that's that little give and take that him and Frank Vogel are going with right now because he's highly effective when he's at that spot.
So Shannon Sharpe has predicted LeBron is going for 50 in Game 3. 50.
He said
right?
35.
No, 50.
35, 15, and 12.
I heard it earlier. Here we go. Pressure's on LeBron James.
He do a monster, Chris. He do a monster.
Hey, he's on the road. The series transitions back to Portland.
Oh,
I don't know.
The Portland.
It's hot now over there.
Oh, so now the Portland logo gonna be on the floor.
Yeah.
Chris Haynes, great stuff. Such good insight from the bubble. We appreciate your time, and we will check in with you very soon.
No mercy.
Anthony Davis led the Lakers to a Game 2 victory last night thanks to going 13 of 21 from the floor for 31 points. And after the game, LeBron had high praise for AD, saying, quote, I've had some great teammates in my career. AD is one of those unicorns. And he does things that some of my other great teammates are not capable of doing. It's worth noting LeBron has played alongside several All-Stars, including Kyrie Irving and Dwyane Wade, to name a couple. Shannon, is AD the best player LeBron has ever played with?
Skip, I grapple with this because I'm trying to delineate between the best talent and the most accomplished. And I think LeBron James did a great job of trying to explain it, Skip. And I don't normally I just, like, once the game is over, I just kind of like just drift off and do my own thing. But when LeBron came on, I listened to what he had to say. And he was talking about this. And he tried to explain it because he understands now he is LeBron James. And if you just flatly say, AD is the greatest everything. Now, I mean, you did win 2 titles with a guy. You won a title with another guy. But I thought he did a great job. I thought he did a great job of trying to explain. He says, look, AD is very, very unique because you're talking about a guy his size and his skill set that can do things that very few people have been able to do in this league. So he's saying what he said is like D. Wade could do things that AD couldn't do. AD could do things that D. Wade could do. Kyrie could do things that neither of those guys could do. But AD can do things neither of these guys could do. So Skip, as far as just talent, you says, okay, just talent. There's no question. 6'10.5", can shoot the 3, put the ball on the floor, can defend. The question is now, what made these guys, D. Wade and Kyrie, unique? On the biggest of stages, they shined their brightest. Mm-hmm. Kyrie hit a shot, maybe the biggest shot in finals history. Game 7, the game had been scoreless for a long time, Skip. Mm-hmm. He hit that shot. We saw what D. Wade did prior to LeBron joining him. He basically single-handedly won a finals. He averaged 36.
He did.
So as far as just talent, I believe he is the most talented player that LeBron James has played with. But It remains to be seen, because at the end of the day, yeah, you can be talented, but you need those accomplishments to go along with that. So I'm going to say yes, he's the most talented, but D Wade and obviously D Wade and Kyrie are more accomplished.
Who's the best? That's the question. Who's the best?
Skip, he's only been with one year with AD. Right now, I'm going to say the best teammate he's had was probably D Wade.
I agree. So this is a fascinating question.
It is.
And LeBron went unicorn on AD last night. He's a unicorn.
Yes.
And he is. Porzingis is called a unicorn because he's 7'3", and he shoots deep threes, and he shoots them like they're free throws. Sometimes he shoots one, I say, how do you do that?
Yeah.
At 7'3"? That's unicorn-ish.
Yes.
I think Luka has unicorn in him because he's doing things that you say, how did he do that? He gets in the lane, and I don't even know, he's traveling at a different slow speed, and it's awkward. I don't know what it is. But he's got genius, basketball genius in the lane and passing genius.
Right.
Okay? This guy is a unicorn because he's 6'10" with guard skills, and when he's right, he's unstoppable.
Yes.
Because he can rise up and shoot mid-range jumpers or three-point shots beautifully with just majestic arc.
Right.
His free throws arc. They're the highest arcing free throws in the league to me. But when he gets in a free throw rhythm, whew, it's a machine. He just drops them, and he'll swish more free throws like against the Clippers in the first restart game. He made 16 of 17. I tweeted, will he ever miss a free throw? Because it just didn't look, because everyone is a swish. And the ball is dropping straight out of the heavens, straight through the hoop because he's arcing it so high.
Right.
So I give you unicorn, but I do not give you intangibles because I don't trust his intangibles yet. Maybe he'll show me.
Right.
But I'm going to hark back to the Charles Barkley quote of earlier.
Right.
Was it early this week? I think
2 nights ago.
Yeah, two nights ago.
Well, he said it previously, but he reiterated it again 2 nights ago.
He doesn't believe that guy, Anthony Davis, has that dog in him. He doesn't believe he's the kind of guy who will step onto a court in a big game and say, I'm going to kill all y'all. Because I'm just better than you. And I don't mean kill him, but in a basketball sense. Yes. Because he's just better. And mentally, he has to believe he's better and impose his psychological will on everybody on the floor. He did it last night. Weirdly, he doesn't exhibit like anger or high emotion. He doesn't look high motor to me ever. But his body language last night was a little more urgent. It was a little more...
His body language was like, I'm killing everybody out here tonight.
It was better. It was more in that vein. I'm not sure I'll go that far. But I don't know if he has those intangibles. If you're talking about Dwyane Wade and Kyrie Irving, trust me, they're 2 of the greatest clutch shooters in the history of this league. In the day, and I know Dwyane's knees, because he was bone on bone, and by the time, what time LeBron got there in his 8th year? Right. Okay, so 8, 9 years.
D-Wade was 28.
10. Yeah, he's struggling because he can't explode the way he exploded even at Marquette. You know, but in his first few years,
yeah, he had a triple-double in the Final Four.
Yeah, had a triple-double. And listen, you want a bucket late in the game, a tie game, give that guy the ball. Give Wade County the ball because he is going to figure out a way to score the basketball or get to the free throw line. He owned the free throw line against the Mavericks in the finals. They were outraged when it was over. You know, they were all complaining about, oh, he got every call. Well, he makes those calls. He forces the action. So I'm the biggest Dwyane Wade fan, and it was so good for LeBron to go play with Big Brother and sort of watch how he did it, how he handled himself. And Dwyane showed LeBron the ropes of how to be a champion, and it helped. And then Kyrie won that champion. I mean, again, LeBron had a great game in Game 7, but as you just said, when it was time, Kyrie said, "Give me the damn ball and get out of my way." I've seen Kyrie take over games late where I said, That's unstoppable.
And see, I think that's the thing that you want to see. You've seen Kyrie when LeBron James will give him the ball in the 4th quarter and go stand in the corner, and Kyrie does his thing.
And how tall is he? 6'2", maybe?
Maybe. Yes. And he does his thing. We've seen D Wade. So we're waiting to see Anthony Davis because what a lot of people say, we don't see the Anthony Davis from the first 3 quarters in the 4th quarter. And if we were to see that, And I think the thing is now that we've seen Anthony AD do what he's done this last game, I believe he's going to be that dog that everybody says he wants to see. Because sometimes, Skip, you know, you go to a junkyard and you got a dog out there. You know every time you go in that junkyard, he'll bite you. Not the one that's on the couch that he may or may not. Maybe I got too close and he was chewing the bone or he was messing with his toy.
On the couch just sitting outside.
Right,
yeah,
right. So you might be a situation like that, Skip. But I believe Anthony Davis, after last night, he's like, you know what? I'm mad at myself because I could have been doing this. And I haven't. I've allowed myself to get taken. I've taken myself out of the game. It wasn't what Nurkic was doing. It wasn't what Whiteside was doing. It was what he was not doing.
I agree with that.
Which was being aggressive. I believe you're going to see the Anthony Davis. Now, we might not get the same effect, Skip, but I believe you're going to see the Anthony Davis that we saw last night moving forward in terms of aggressiveness.
I just don't believe you can teach or learn killer will. I just think you either have it or you don't. If I could pour some of Michael Jordan's intangibles in that guy, you would have beyond Kevin Durant.
No, well,
it'd be over. You'd have dynasty is what you'd have.
Well, Skip, I mean, you can't give the guy everything. You can't give the guy, you can't let him be almost 7 foot tall, handle the ball like Kyrie, have Michael Jordan's killer will. I mean, that wouldn't even be fair.
Nope.
Dude average 60 a game.
So I'm going to believe it when I see it. But he did have an awakening last night. I think when he walked off the floor, he said, oh, that's what happened.
I just made a mess of 2 7-footers.
Yeah.
One guy led the league in blocks. One guy on the last playing game had 20, 20, and 5. And I just made a mess of both of them.
Both of them. But just embarrassed both of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, AD special.
You use that word a lot.
He's special.
Got to keep it up.
And
Damian special. AD is special.
Oh, Dame not special? Dollar not special?
He won last night.
Oh, Skip, you can't say because the guy had one off game.
But he's hurt. I'm going to give him a break. He wasn't special before he got hurt.
Whoa.
He was 1 for 7 before he got hurt.
So let me ask you a question. Tom Brady has a bad game. Does that mean he's not special?
When? When has he ever had a bad game?
Oh, you don't remember? You don't remember Tennessee, huh?
No mercy.
Tonight, for the first time ever, SmackDown comes to you live from the Thunderdome, the WWE's new state-of-the-art arena that brings back virtual fans and takes the visual experience to the next level. It's an all-new Friday Night SmackDown tonight, 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. The Minnesota Timberwolves had the 3rd worst record this season, but won the lottery last night and will select first overall in the upcoming NBA draft. LaMelo Ball has been consistently ranked in the top 3 prospects of this year's draft and is now projected to go number 1 overall in this morning's latest mock draft. So, Shannon, should the Wolves take LaMelo Ball?
That's the question, Skip. They moved heaven and earth to get D'Angelo Russell. They have Karl Anthony Towns. They have Andrew Wiggins. Melo is 6'7", can pass the ball, is very creative. The thing is, that shot is unorthodox like his brother Lonzo. Beating people off the dribble, and what's the unknown, Skip? They've only seen him for 12 games. Now, he's relatively, 19 years of age. I think he turns 19 in a couple of days.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, Skip, all the top picks, you look at Anthony Edwards, he's a guard. Obi Toppin, the forward, he was player of the year this year. I think he's a 3. And then James Wiseman, 7'1", averaged 19 and 10 before he was declared ineligible.
Yep.
Could LaMelo and D'Angelo play together? That's the question, Skip. That really is. That's what it comes down to. It's not about, oh, man, he's good, he can do that. Can they play together? Because you gave up and you have this guy, he's on a max contract. D. Russell's on a max contract. Anthony Towns is about to get a max contract. So somebody's willing to move. If somebody wants LaMelo for that number 1 pick, Skip, and I can get me somebody, I would move it. But if I got to stay there, I probably would take it.
I'm taking him. I don't know what it is about me and these ball kids, but I'm taking it. My first thought was, how would LaMelo like winter in Minneapolis? And then it dawned on me, He spent a winter in Lithuania.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
He spent a high school winter in Ohio, which is not quite Minneapolis, but it's not great. Right? So he's been around, man.
It's not Chino Hills, California.
No, it's not Chino Hills. So he does turn 19 tomorrow. And his father insists he's still growing, and I don't doubt that he is.
Right.
His father predicted to me 3 years ago he'll be 6'8".
Yeah. 6'7" right now.
He's 6'7". I will not be surprised if he winds up 6'8". And yet, to your point, like brother, I don't get it. They both have a broken shot. Again, Lonzo was getting close to fixing his shot. I thought he'd fixed it before the pandemic hit, and then he went to the bubble and he burst his bubble, right?
Yeah.
This shot is horrible. This one looks maybe even worse than Lonzo's because it's a two-handed push shot, jump shot, and I know it's a small sample size, you point out, 12 games in Australia. It's pro basketball, and it's pretty high level.
Yeah.
He shot 25% from three. He shot only 72% from the free throw line. A little better than Lonzo has, but still not for a point guard.
Right.
Your point guard's got to make.
They need to be 80.
85, 90.
At least they got to be.
Come on.
They got to be 80%.
Yeah. So it's a broken shot, and it was just eating me up. I was watching the video of it last night, and I was thinking, how could LeVar have let this happen to both his kids?
You know what I think it happened, Skip? Is that you want a kid to shoot from distance, and he's not strong enough to shoot it with one hand.
Yeah.
He has to use both of the hands, and that's what ends up happening.
And so he falls into that habit, and it's a bad habit. And then you grow up to 6'7", you don't need to be two-hand pushing the ball from the three-point line. And it doesn't work anymore.
No.
You can't guide the basketball directly the way you need to. It's a one-handed shot, obviously. And now you're going to have to fight with him and his psychological demons. You know what happened to Markelle Fultz? He's just now coming out of all his shot issues,
But Skip, the thing is that when you take a guy #1 overall, you shouldn't have to worry about all of this. And I think that was one of the things that hurt Markelle Fultz. You know, everybody kept talking about his shot. Well, if that's the case, he plays basketball. The shot is the most important thing. And you talk about you want to correct it, you want to pitch. Skip, you know, it's like taking a picture. I would love to take him #1 overall if he could just control that fast. What? He's going to be throwing. He has to throw the baseball. He's going to have to shoot the basketball, and you're going to have to correct this. And so for me, that's one of the issues, the shot, and can he play with D'Angelo Russell? Because D'Angelo Russell, Skip, he's a point, but he's more of a two.
I totally agree. He's a two to me. So I say yes, he can, because this kid can handle the basketball. Yes. It's like magical how he can handle it. You remember Pete Maravich. It reminds, it's Maravichian to me. For the kids who won't know Pete Maravich, but you watch those tapes and highlights if you would. But this kid has the gift. He can pass it. He can create in the lane in just crazy ways. He can make up shots. He's a better scorer than Lonzo is.
Yeah. He's more offensive-minded than Lonzo.
He's more offensive-minded.
But his defense, he ain't playing no defense.
But he will steal the ball because he averaged 2 steals. So he's one of those disruptors where he'll anticipate your pass and get a hand.
He's long,
kind of like Lonzo does. So they're, again, like brother, but he's so gifted at what he does that I would do it. He seems like a good kid, but they're all good.
Right.
They got raised in a way where they're solid. Their cores are solid. They're solid citizens. They're good kids. They have credibility to me as long-term investments for a franchise.
Right.
But I mean, this kid's full of himself. Now he thinks nobody's ever stopped him. You know, okay, that's fine. I'm good with that. But the point is that I don't know if you can pass up the gifts.
Right.
If you're thinking about one. Like Anthony Edwards, I've watched him a number of times. He never just took me over. He never just grabbed my eyes and wouldn't let go. And he's about 6'3". Is he rare? No, he's not rare.
No.
You know, James Wiseman, I only saw him one time because he didn't last very long because you just point out.
He could be rare. 6'7", could do, but you got Cat.
You got Cat. This kid's 7'1", left-handed, but athletic.
Yes.
And he's got some physicality. He's got stature. He's got a good. He's getting his man body.
Do you like Obi Toppin?
I'm intrigued. Maybe. I mean, the highlights I see him. Ooh, he can
score. But you got Andrew Wiggins.
Yep.
So what are you going to do with him? They got a lot of nice young pieces, but I believe they need a veteran. But this is the draft. But I don't believe they pass him up. I mean, somebody might fall in love with the Knicks. How about y'all give up some of the poor Knicks? I feel bad for them. No,
well, we're about to discuss those Knicks.
I mean, but the thing is that at 6'7", he's creative. Can he play with your two-headed monster?
Sure.
Because you're trying to create a three-headed monster. Because you're trying. The West is tough. The West isn't getting easier.
No.
And Minnesota hadn't.
See Phoenix.
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
Phoenix is coming.
Oof.
And Skip, I believe that's one of the reasons why they traded T.J. Warren, because they want Booker to be the show and they want DeAndre Ayton. Well, T.J. Warren is a scorer. He wants to score the basketball. You can't have that many scores. So how is this going to work? It's rare that you can find a situation like Golden State when you bring in KD and you got Clay and you got Steph. And Steph's an MVP and says, you know what? I'll take a backseat to you, KD. Do your thing. Yep. And Clay says, man, I can be a number one on a lot of teams. At worst, number two.
True.
He's like, but you know what? I'll be three. I'm good. Everybody can't do that, Skip.
Nope. I'm still taking him if I'm the T-Wolves. I just am, because I think he has things you can't coach or teach that are so rare that, again, if you let him run your show, I think D'Angelo would blend in just fine with him because he will pass the rock.
But I'm open for business.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm open for business, Skip. If you want this number one pick, if you guys are a veteran player that, all-stars, come see your boy.
Okay.
The second time in franchise history that the Wolves do get this number one pick. I just want to make sure they don't make that mistake. Do you guys remember, though, when LeVar was on our show complaining about his guys playing somewhere cold?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that? Like, does he know what Minnesota is like in the winter? That's what I keep thinking about. You'd have to adjust.
No mercy.
The Lakers saw improved shooting last night in their Game 2 win over the Blazers last night. LA shot nearly 37% from three and 90% from the free throw line in the 23-point victory. LeBron only needed to score 10 points, while Anthony Davis led all scorers with 31 points. LA led by as many as 33 points in this one at one point. And good news for us, guys, the legendary Michael Rapaport joining us now. Michael, did the Lakers look like a championship team last night?
Oh, absolutely not.
Mike, before you go, Skip and I was discussing LaMelo Ball, and I mentioned that Andrew Wiggins was with the Timberwolves. Andrew Wiggins got traded to Golden State for D'Angelo Russell, so I just wanted to make sure I correct myself before we went on. Go ahead on, Mike. Hate himself.
I mean, I'm surprised you're correcting yourself about that. You speak crazy all the time, and you never correct yourself, especially when it comes to the Lakers. Listen, did they look like a championship team? When their best player scores 10 points, I don't think that looks like a championship team. I'm worried about the gas tank getting empty on Mr. James. It's not a surprise. The Lakers didn't get the number one seed by accident. Okay, they won by almost 30 points. LeBron had 10 points in 26 minutes of work. AD was the hero. Okay, he needed to be. But it is now a 5-game series. Okay, we know that the Blazers expanded a lot of energy, a lot of emotion, probably the most out of any team in the bubble, the 8 games, the regular season games, plus the play-in game. They did not play well last night. Just like winning game 1 was one game, this is just one game. You know that Dame and CJ are not going to play as poorly as they did. Dame Dollar, he dislocated his finger. It doesn't matter. He's not going to make excuses. CJ has his back thing. Zach Collins has his situation. The Lakers are a deeper team. But I'll throw the question to Shannon. Do you actually see a championship being delivered to a guy who this gentleman, Alex Caruso, I'm telling you, he works as a Domino's pizza delivery man in the offseason. He's delivered me pizza during the pandemic. I'm telling you, do you actually see that guy bringing you a championship when you know big shots need to be taken? And AD, he looks great. But I ask the same thing like Charles Barkley. Does he have that dog in him? Can LeBron keep that battery in his back? And the question also, Shannon, LeBron James, how much gas does he have in that tank? He's getting old. The gray beard, it's happening.
But here's the thing. I think the mark of a really good team is when your best player doesn't play his best and you still find ways to win. Now, do you believe he'll just score 10 points with 6 rebounds and 7 assists moving forward? Or do you expect the LeBron James that has a 28-point average for a career in points in the playoffs? I expect to see, and LeBron hadn't played well since the restart, but I believe he will play better. And that's what's scary. The question is, can Dame average 40? Because that's what it's going to take. You make it seem like the Lakers have been playing great. They haven't, and they still found a way to win the ball game. And even though they shot the ball better last night, they can still shoot the ball better. They still missed a lot of wide open threes. But you keep saying, oh, it's only one game. It wasn't just one game when you was blowing up my text messages with all the memes. It wasn't just one game. Then now all of a sudden,
Sir, they made 14 threes. That's the most they've ever made in franchise history. The last time was 2010 when they did 13 threes. Oh, they're not going to shoot like that. That's never going to happen again.
But Mike,
they're not breaking that record.
Mike,
it was a blowout. They didn't have their energy. And I'm telling you right now, and I know you see it, Shannon. I know that you see it. You are the biggest LeBron James fan / cheerleader in the world. I am telling you, at some point, Father Time creeps up on everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's there yet, but LeBron James doesn't have that oomph that we're used to all the time. I don't think he could just turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off the way we're used to with him.
You're going to see it. First of all, the Lakers, when this three-point revolution hit, they weren't even making the playoffs. So there was no need. How are you going to shoot playoff threes if you're not in the playoffs? And in 2010, they didn't have guys. That's not how they were built. They were built around Kobe and Pau Gasol and Andrew Bynum. They played inside out, but it wasn't inside out to shoot the three. With that being said, don't you worry about how many threes we make. You just worry about dealing with AD and LeBron, because we coming tomorrow night and we're going to win again. Put something on it.
I'll put some sneakers on it. I'll put some sneakers on it. Let's do sneakers. Let's do some sneakers.
I won't take out from Craig's. I want you to send it to my house via DoorDash. Do that. Done.
Listen, you know that the Portland Trailblazers are going to bounce back. This is a long and winding bubble. It is a long and winding bubble, and this series is just getting started. They got 1 day rest, and then they're bouncing back. And just like the Portland Trailblazers need to rest, LeBron James, the oldest guy on that team, he is the guy who needs the most rest. I don't know if he's got his special juices, vitamins, his blenders, and all that stuff that we're used to in Los Angeles, but maybe he doesn't have access to all that stuff. I'm telling you, LeBron James is going to tank out during this playoffs. If it ain't the Portland Trailblazers, it's either going to be Utah or Denver. You're worried. I know you're worried. I see it. I hear it in your voice. Skip, am I right or wrong?
Well, you're right and you're wrong, because it's not the Trailblazers who are going to cause problems. It might be those other teams you just mentioned, and it will definitely be that other team living in the basement of Staples known as the Clippers. Michael, the Portland Trailblazers, emphasize trail because they were trailing the whole game last night. They're done. They just turned back into pumpkins. And what happened last night, to me, was highly unimpressive because it should have happened in game one. The Lakers should have swept the Trailblazers because they're just overachievers who had a magical underdog run, a Cinderella roll through the bubble. They kept winning cliffhanger games, and then they finally got to a real team, the Lakers, and they shocked the Lakers in game one, who had a 6-point lead with 7 minutes left, and they couldn't get it home. LeBron and AD, which often in fourth quarters stands for all done, couldn't bring that home against the worst defensive team in the bubble. Last night, you saw just how defenseless they were because Anthony Davis was getting anything he wanted at the rim in the first and second quarters. He destroyed them, and a lot of it was off follow shots, put-back dunks, tip-ins. He's just standing uncontested under the rim, scoring at will. That's who Portland really is. They got exposed last night. Now, Damian obviously has got an issue with his index finger of his non-shooting hand.
He will be fine, sir.
Okay, well, that's fine. But again, he got exposed last night. He shot 1 for 7 before he hurt his finger. 1 for 7 from 3 and had 18 points and a grand total of 1 assist. This is a flawed team, missing, obviously, several players, but they don't have Trevor Ariza. They don't have Rodney Hood. They don't have Collins. They're just, everybody said, this is the greatest 8 seed ever. Baloney. They're just a lucky 8 seed, and their time is up. They are done.
You know what, Skip? Have you not learned your lesson about the diligence and the heart of Oakland's finest? Have you not learned? Do you not think these guys are coming back? We know CJ and Dame are coming back. The little pizza maker could follow him around all game and do the number one rule. Alex Caruso's doing breaking the number one rule when it comes to playing defense. Keep your eye on the man and the ball. He's literally just keeping his eye on the man. That's how locked in he is to following Dame Dollar. Do you think that little Alex Caruso is going to be able to stop Dame? And do you really believe KCP, Kyle Kuzma, Deion Waiters, and J.R. Smith are the guys? And I love Rondo, okay? But come on. This is not Isaiah Thomas of the Detroit Pistons. It's not Rondo of the Boston Celtics. He, just like everybody else, needs to get in shape. Okay, it's not like Rondo's been like this incredible thing even this season before the bubble. So Rondo come back, he'll bring some toughness, he'll bring some craftiness, but the Lakers are in trouble. And I'm telling you guys right now, maybe you could hook me up, Shannon. When they leave that bubble, and they're leaving that bubble alone.
Yeah, with the trophy.
Excuse me, that image. You know how we talk about the Last Dance and documentaries and historical images? That image of LeBron James with his glasses on and his shirt, and maybe I don't think he'll do like with his chest naked. When he's walking out of that bubble, packing his stuff, that will be the Last Dance, mi amigo. Oh, yes, and I would love to go down to Orlando to watch it, my friend. Please hook me up with tickets to that.
We're leaving with the trophy. And it just so happens that we're down in Disney, and you know Disney makes some great movies. It'll be a great movie that we're going to make. How we went in the bubble for 3 months and came out victorious.
When you leave
the final chapter,
you guys will be leaving that bubble before the championship trophy is polished up. You're not making it to the finals, mi amigo. And that image of him walking out onto the private jet, headphones on, sunglasses, that will be the last dance. And then it's over. Then it's over. And yes, Skip, I have on my Jordans also. I would never wear that other person's sneakers. I'm wearing my Jordans right now.
You're a hater. And you know what? We don't have to say we're going to Disney because we're already at Disney. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to Disney, Glow. Nope, I'm right here.
Skip, you're right across. I'm virtual. Skip, you're right across from Shannon.
Yeah.
What do you see in his eyes when he's talking about the Lakers? Honestly, what do you see the trepidation? What do you look at his face and tell me?
I see fear in his eyes. As soon as I say Clippers, I see fear.
They got to worry about Luka.
They're playing a real team. You're playing Cinderella.
Look at Luka. They got Michael Rapaport dropping 42 on them. Luka Doncic, Michael Rapaport dropped 42 on them.
No, Michael Rapaport plays for the Bucs.
If Jared Dudley could play for the Lakers, I should be able to play for the Lakers.
That's
he looks
true.
like Michael Rapaport out there.
Y'all need to stop talking about Duds. Duds be giving them valuable minutes.
Yeah, valuable minutes in the locker room giving pep talk.
Hey, Duds has been eating good in the bubble.
Man, go ahead and see. Hey, Duds, don't pay Rapaport, don't pay Skip any attention. You keep on giving them pep talk. You keep on blocking out, doing your assignments. We're going to be good. And the Caruso, Alex Caruso.
That guy.
You a hater.
2 pepperoni pizzas. He brought me one with sausage. I told him, I said, go get me my pizza.
That's the only thing I'm going to see when I watch him now is just thinking of pizza delivery. I hope you take that one personally.
No mercy.
Tom Thibodeau's first season with the Knicks has started with a bad break. Despite having the 6th worst record this season, New York ended up dropping down to the 8th overall pick. And New York's very own Michael Rapaport is still with us. Michael, what was your reaction when your Knicks fell to 8?
Yeah, I see the disappointment. Hurt. Love it.
It's the abbreviated version for the Knicks is NYK, and the K now stands for karma. It's New York karma. It's the curse of the Smurf. The Smurf being James Dolan. New York is been through so much in the last 5 months. And I'm happy they didn't make it to the bubble because nobody needs to sit there and watch that sloppy soup play basketball right now. No team, no city deserved the top pick more than the Knicks. But we have a billionaire playing the blues. And unfortunately, it's the only song in town. I was prepared all day. There was a looming feeling. That's why I didn't even watch, to be totally honest with you. I didn't watch. I just held my breath, and then the tweets and the text started coming in. Last year, the Knicks missed out on Zion. Remember, I was there. I was with you guys in person.
Yep. Love it.
We missed out on Zion and Ja Morant and landed the 3rd pick of R.J. Barrett, which is yet to be determined. 2018, it was the 9th pick with Kevin Knox when Luka and Trae Young went 3rd and 5th. 2017, we got Frankie cigarettes. We got Frankie nicotine. Okay, Jason Tatum went 3rd. And the Knicks that same year, we passed on Donovan Mitchell, who I hope possibly maybe he wants to come home to play for the Knicks someday. 2016, the Knicks traded the 7th pick to Denver, which became Jamal Murray. Needs no introduction at this point. And the 9th pick to Toronto for Jacob Pertell, who was part of the trade to bring Kawhi. Listen, 2015 was the great Kristaps Porzingis. It's a dysfunctional relationship. And I'm going to tell you something. Like I said, I've been through so much. I was speaking to my friend Q-Tip from the Tribe Called Quest. Shout out to Phife Dawg. And I said to him, we need to start blaming ourselves. We need to start blaming ourselves because we're sticking around waiting for love, looking for love in all the wrong places. And it's not going to happen with the little Smurf, okay? It's not going to happen with James Dolan. I'm telling you, the karma. Okay, I don't know what it is. I don't know how it'll be fixed, but it's one thing after another. And I'll tell you something. It's different front offices, but the same result. I can't take anymore. The Brooklyn Nets are a fun team. They're a great team. They've overcome. They are playing with so much heart in this bubble with nobody. Karis LeVert has introduced himself to the world. They're not even playing with their 3rd best player, Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, this is a team to root for. And if I was in New York, if I was a kid, or if I was a parent of a young kids in New York, I'd say, check out this team in Brooklyn. Look at these guys. They have heart. Like, these guys have proven that they have heart and they have something to look forward to. The Knicks, once again, it's just heartbreak and disappointment. And I literally don't know how much more of it I can take. I'm getting older. I don't want to be walking around at 55, 5 years from now, 55 years old with a bad back and like shin splints saying, oh, we're going to win the championship. And if they did win the championship, I can't even celebrate, with the parade because of my shin splints. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do anymore.
Michael, the anguish and the hurt that I can hear in your voice and the pain that I can see in your face brings me so much joy just to know that you're hurting, that every night you go to bed for the last 15 years, it's been rooted in disappointment and harm. I love it. And you mentioned last year was the year because you had the best opportunity. You could have got Zion and you could have got Ja. It's kind of like 84. You had a chance at Olajuwon and you could have got Jordan, but you got Sam Bowie. I love it. And you're right. You deserve every bit of it. You got the 8th pick. I don't even know if there's 8 really good, even interesting players, let alone good players in this draft. And you won't be able to get one of them. But you know what?
I agree.
There's some help coming. Fred VanVleet will be a free agent. So we're
what is he going to do?
Whoa. Considering what you have now, you better take him. You better max him out because it's not like, last I checked, Kyrie Irving is not coming in that door. Neither is Kevin Durant. Hold on. Kevin Durant said no. Kyrie said no. Anthony Davis said no. Everybody said hell no. So what choices do you have?
I'm going to tell you something, Shannon. First of all, the fact that you're laughing at my pain just goes to show what kind of a sick person you are. You're a sick person. And you live in L.A. and Beverly Hills. You're sick. Your mind is gone nuts. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you a very important thing. One of the reasons, I am telling you, one of the reasons why those Brooklyn players are playing so hard, playing for the Brooklyn Nets, being a young man living in Brooklyn is sexy. That's cool. That's dope. Those guys get to live in the borough of Brooklyn. Okay, they get to walk to the arena. They practice in Brooklyn. They are getting the New York experience. I am telling you, that is, aside from playing for the Lakers, it's the best job in town. You get to play for in the greatest city in the world. You're 5 minutes from Manhattan. Despite where we are right now, they enjoy playing and living in Brooklyn. It's a sexy, young place to play. Manhattan, the Knicks don't live there. They live up there in Westchester with the soccer moms. And I'm telling you, it's a bad thing. If you're 22, no disrespect to the soccer moms, you don't want to be in the burbs. You want to be in the city. They need to bring the players and the arena and the practice facility to Manhattan. Other than that, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say or what to do or where to go. These guys that we have, Isaac Okaro from Auburn, Killian Hayes from France. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who these people. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we're going to catch this guy at the eighth thing. I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to do. And the fact that you're sitting there laughing, it ain't funny, Shannon.
So, Michael, I did text you last night as soon as that pick dropped because I fell out of my chair. It is the Dolan curse. Somehow, some way, you got to get out from under the Smurf, as you call him, because he's not only a bad owner, he's obviously just a bad guy. K stands for karma. It's coming back and biting you in the butt time and time again. And unfortunately, Fred, this has turned into the saddest story in sports. I'm not laughing at you. I'm sort of laughing with Shannon.
I'm laughing at you.
Yeah, I know he's laughing at you. But the point is...
Fred VanVleet?
Yeah. When you have an owner in sports, you can't vote them out of office.
No.
If you don't like our president, you can vote for that guy you saw last night.
Right.
And that's how it works in a democracy.
Right.
This isn't democratic. You're stuck with James Dolan till death do you part, it seems, because no matter how much you shame this guy, he ain't selling.
Nope.
Let me tell you something. If they sign Fred VanVleet, I'm telling you, I'm literally gonna I like Fred VanVleet, but that's not a savior. That's not the beginning of a new horizon, Fred VanVleet.
Well, the Bible, the savior that you're looking for ain't coming for a long period of time. So that might be the next best savior you got.
I hate to end it like this, Mike. I feel bad for your face. Is just so
I don't like
upset. It's all the time we have. All the time we have.
I love it.
Michael Rapaport, as always, a pleasure. Thanks for joining Undisputed today. We'll talk to you soon.
No mercy.
Kawhi and the Clippers will need to find a way to slow down Luka Doncic tonight if they want to regain the series lead. Despite a poor shooting night in their Game 2 loss, according to Fox Bet, the Clippers are the favorites to win Game 3 as 5.5-point favorites. So, good to know. Shannon, who you got? Who wins tonight, Clippers or Mavs?
Skip, they need to bring the intensity that they brought. You know, normally the third quarter, the Clippers come out and they try to take the game over. They try to suffocate you with their defense. And they need it should have been a wake-up call the first game. Because before Porzingis was got ejected, they were giving the Clippers all they wanted.
They were.
And I don't know what the Clippers think that this was going to be a cakewalk because they handled them in the regular season.
Yeah, they did.
But the Mavs are a very good ball club. They're going to have to stop the conga line to the basket, Skip. Too many guys just off the dribble and just go into the basket. Yeah. And they really don't have rim protection, especially once Zubac leaves the ball game. I believe the Clippers will win this game. I'm going to say they win by 3. But it's not going to be easy because the Mavs have the utmost confidence that they not only can play with the Clippers, but they can beat them.
They do. Clippers are a 5.5-point favorite tonight, and they need to now take their turn and do just what your team did last night, which is come out and say, that's enough.
Right.
Watch this.
Right.
It is time to take the defense up 2 notches because we know the Mavericks had the highest offensive rating in NBA history in the regular season. They are a real basketball team as opposed to the Portland Trail Blazers. This is no joke. I still think it's going 7, but I do think the Clippers will clamp down, lock down, tighten up tonight, and show you 4 quarters of defense, and I believe they'll win this by 10 points.
But there is no Patrick Beverley is going to be a game time decision. So we're going to see how that is. I mean, that calf, you know, Skip, those things Because you planting, you sliding, you moving certain bursts, and then there you go again.
I don't love it, but they have the 2 best wing defenders in basketball.
Lucas say you lied to me. Lucas say that I can't tell.
Yeah, well,
Lucas say I can't tell.
Yeah, well, I hope they're watching right now because they're going to tell you. On
Baby Bird, get whatever he want, however he want it.
Feeling confident.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Skip Shannon, great stuff today. We're back same time Monday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Enjoy all the games, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Always in the zone.